I'm Lisa Young, and we're so excited to be back with the Creative Marriage Podcast. And I'm joined with my husband, my better half, Ed Young.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk today about communication. Oh, boy. That's good.
Yes, it is. It is.
I like it.
I love communication. I mean, you have to have it. And I think communication, guys, is definitely the key for sex as well. And we don't think about it that way because we just think about sex. But communication, great communication, usually will lead to the bedroom.
And it can also lead to great romance.
That's right. That's what I mean. Romance, talking.
Do you have a one-track mind?
No, I do not.
I don't think
possible.
I'm wondering. But communication it plays into a lot of different things. Sex is definitely one of them, but communication is all about getting to know your spouse, their needs, which sex is definitely a need, but about their needs, their desires, their wants, their goals, and it starts with communication. When you and I started dating, as you've said before in previous podcasts, that I was 15, you were 14 and a half, and you couldn't drive, I couldn't drive, and we were too young, but we met in church, so we would talk on the phone a lot. And that was how we got to know each other because we couldn't really go out on dates. I mean, your dad used to bring you to my house sometimes. You remember that?
Oh, that was so embarrassing. I couldn't drive. My father, he had this big black like Cadillac or something. I don't know what it was.
I think it was.
Dad was one of the first people that had a phone in his car. I mean, he was like
it was
he was
size
like the
of
OG.
It was like a shoebox.
So he would drive me to Lisa's house. And I would walk up that long driveway, and then he would leave and pick me up. I don't know, 2 or 3 in the morning.
No,
I'm kidding.
Gosh,
He picked me up. No, like 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
But that was usually like a once a week, if that.
Yeah. And we had great talks. We would talk all the time.
A long time.
Hour after hour. And my parents and your parents would go, "What are you guys talking about?" And don't you remember those of us who were married, or maybe you're thinking about marriage? I mean, don't you remember too when you first met? It just flowed. It was like it just happened. You know, like a good hip hop song. You know? And you just kind of roll with it. And all of a sudden, you know, when you get married, and this is good. This is not all bad. Familiarity creeps in. You've used up so many words at the office or here and there, and it's like, whoa. I just want to watch some Netflix, you know. What do they call it? Is it chill Netflix?
Netflix and
I just want to watch.
I don't think that has good connotations.
It has bad connotations. I know, doesn't it, a little bit. Let's just watch. Watch Netflix and chill.
Netflix.
Yeah, let's just watch. Let's just watch Netflix and chill. That's what Brent Evans says. Let's just watch.
Take that
I'm kidding. I don't want to.
Like Bloom, no.
Yeah, let's just watch Netflix and chill. And it's more than that. It's all about communication because as well as you communicated in those early days, you can bring that into and in the forefront of the marriage today. So women start with feelings, you know. I feel this way and I feel that way and I'm feeling, and that's great. And then we get to the facts. Guys, we're like facts, and then finally feelings. And I think it's funny when guys imitate women talking, it's like, and when women talk about, oh, here's how my husband talks, I don't think it's that bad, but there is something to that.
Yes.
There's something to communication because we communicate differently.
I remember you talked about recently in a message, you were talking about the playground and what little girls, their communication skills.
Yeah, Harvard. I don't know why Harvard does these studies, but they're, have all this money and a lot of smart people are at Harvard. But they did this study of a playground, a preschool playground. They wired the playground. They discovered that 100% of the noises that the little girls were making were understandable, articulate words. Only 60% of what the guys said, the little boys said, were understandable. The other 40% were words and sounds like just sound effects. And I've never stopped with sound effects. I love sound effects. I think they are a verbal emoji. I like that.
I like that. A verbal emoji.
So sometimes, maybe I'm going to communicate that way where I need to use words. But let's talk about that, because the Bible says this, Ephesians chapter 4:29, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit. I'll slap somebody right now. Those who listen.
That's right.
Now, I got to tell the story.
Okay, well, tell the story, and then I have something to say.
When our twins,
I have something to communicate.
I know. When our twins, and I'm probably interrupting too much, but I have that. I've struggled with that.
No.
But when our twins were 4 or 5, I took them fishing. I love fishing. It's a biblical sport, and we were catching these little brim, little perch. And when I catch a fish, I return it back to its natural habitat, catch and release. Well, she wanted to keep one of the fish and take it home and show you. So I said, okay, you can take one home. What I didn't know was behind my back, she had caught another one and put the other fish in my tackle box, zipped it up. I had no idea. And so I took her home, her little fish home, I thought, but there was another one in the tackle box. The rod and reels home, got home, put all the fishing gear in the garage, went upstairs and whatever, creatively communicated, I'm sure. And from that point on, as the days wore on,
and it was
the
July.
triple degree Texas heat,
it was July.
Somebody slapped somebody.
So hot.
All of a sudden I had an odor, and I have a great nose. The
smell.
The
odor wasn't you.
No, I'm sorry, it wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Let's make that clear.
There was something. And
we thought something had died inside the walls of our house. So we're searching everywhere.
Oh, it was terrible.
And then we kind of isolated it to the garage, went to this one shelf where we kept a lot of like fertilizer, stuff like that. And we're thinking, is it the ant killer, the fertilizer? What is it? And then you opened the tackle box.
It couldn't be my tackle box, but looked inside. This smell, I mean, it just like, it was really, really bad. So that was a spoiled, rotten fish.
It was an unwholesome.
Okay. This word, Ephesians chapter 4:29, do not let any unwholesome, the word unwholesome, it literally means spoiled fish. So when I talk in an unwholesome way toward my spouse, or when she talks in an unwholesome way toward me, we're stinking up the whole house.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good.
And that's not what we're supposed to do.
No. It's a good illustration. It's not a good thing to do.
Yeah, so stay away from the spoiled fish.
But communication basically, I think you could break it down to 3 different aspects.
Okay.
Communication in marriage is about exchange of information, which we talk about that on a date night, where you can tell what's going on in your life, events, things like that, because we get so busy and we use our words for the work. We use our words for the children. And then it's like, do we have any communication, any words left for our spouse? So we want to give information about what's happening in our lives. The other thing is for affirmation. And that is the compliment, the building up.
Oh, there's nothing like a well-placed compliment. I'll just from my selfish perspective, I speak because I'm a pastor, and I love positive comments. I mean, I can live off a positive compliment for, I don't know, a couple of months, but no one has the sauce, the spizzerinctum. That's another cool word. I don't know what it means. Like Lisa, when she says, honey, I really enjoyed that message. God really spoke through you. Or,
and I'm the same way.
You look sexy or something like that. I know, really.
The affirmation is
the affirmation. Huge. From your spouse.
How many words are you using to affirm your spouse? That's big. That's huge.
Didn't you tell me it's a 20-to-1 ratio? We talk about it in the Creative Marriage. I believe it's this. Yeah, I know we did in the Creative Marriage in our new book. That it takes 20 positive comments to erase 1 negative.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah. So that's goes back to that unwholesome.
Information, affirmation. Oh, and here's one. It's going to get quiet. You'll want to turn this podcast off or press pause or whatever.
Confrontation.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, because sometimes we have differences, arguments. We need to deal with some sticky stuff in our relationship. We call that confrontation. Now, that's a big part of advancing our relationship. When you face a hurdle, you're able to deal with it, you're able to talk about it, and then you move forward. But how do you do that? How do you do it without damaging the other person's feelings or damaging the relationship?
You have to be very careful, Lisa, because we enjoy sports. We enjoy watching you, especially. I mean, you're a big college football fan.
I am.
And we like basketball, baseball, all that stuff. But when a game is played well, both teams are. I know this is basic, but it's deep. Both teams follow the rules.
Yep.
Or like if you like MMA or boxing, let's get even more a little bit more graphic. They're rules of engagement. I mean, they're rules you have to follow. So when it comes to communication in marriage, especially confrontation, a lot of times we're like, okay, I'll just vomit all over my spouse. Can I say that? Or I'll yell or name call or whatever. We've thrown the rule book aside.
Yeah.
If you watch football without rules, it's chaos. And if you try to communicate without rules, chaos. Sometimes you're watching a football game. Let's say this team is penalized a lot, and when you watch the game on television, you'll see that little box, that little yellow box with flag. That means a flag has been thrown. They've broken the rule. Well, I think in marriages, as we look at them, a lot of times is a little yellow box with a flag because we've broken the communicative rules.
I think when you're talking about communication, you have to use the backdrop of our commitment in marriage. In other words, when we got married, we made a covenant with one another.
Yes.
And we became one flesh.
We said, I do.
We said, I do. And we become one flesh, meaning we're unified in all things. And even though we come from very different backgrounds, you have your family of origin that had ways of communication. I had mine. And that's where, that's where it can get tricky is when you bring these things into your relationship.
And you got to talk about that. Here's how my family handled conflict. Here's how my family communicated. Here's how my family affirmed one another, if they even ever did. Those are big issues. So marriage not only is what you do after you say I do, it's what you do before you say I do. And one of the weaknesses that we experienced in our marriage was we did not get a lot of premarital biblical Christian counseling.
Yes.
Which
even though we were in church, we hadn't heard messages about it.
No.
We didn't go to counseling and or a pre-marriage class. There I don't know. I don't remember that being offered. Definitely that was a mistake. But when you look at the backdrop of this oneness, if I am using words to harm and hurt you, or especially intended to harm and hurt you, all of us say things sometimes and we don't really mean harm. We just, are dumb in our words. But if I say that, I'm really hurting myself because we are one flesh. We're one.
That's great. So when we jam the other spouse, we're really jamming ourselves. So when we look into the eyes of our spouse, Lisa, reflected back is who we really are. And that's why I think we have problems in this area of communication, because in communication, there's the TLC principle. In communication, there are rules of engagement. And next time, on the next podcast, on the XO Marriage platform, on the Creative Marriage platform, we're going to talk about it. So if you're liking this, I'm loving it.
Me too.
Subscribe, which I'm going to do, and leave us a 5-star review. Not 4 stars. No. I want to see all those 5 stars shaded, because Your reviews help get the word out. So,
we want to build creative marriages. So we want to get the word out, and you'll help us by doing that.
and what is creativity? It's the God-given ability to change for the good.
That's right.
We'll see you next time.